What's up, guys? It's your boy David, and I'm back with some more FIFA 15 gameplay, but that's not the point. Today, I have something different from what I do normally, which I'm extremely excited about. Today, I'm going to be doing a thing that I'm going to call Fighter Bio. I'm going to take a fighter, probably somebody more popular, maybe somebody who's just getting popular, like hitting that peak. I'm going to take them and basically tell you not really as much of the stats, but like their fights in general, like their come up from like when they were just starting out, maybe how they started to where they are now and how they got to be so big. So if you watch UFC, then you know who Conor McGregor is. He's the new big thing. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm kind of a hipster on him. Like when he first fought Max Holloway, I think it was, when he tore his ACL and didn't get to fight for a while, which I will be covering. I saw that fight because I think that was the Chael Sonnen versus Vitor Belfort, I think, which I'm a big Chael Sonnen fan, so I always make sure I watch that. But when I was watching the fight, I heard Joe Rogan. He kept talking about how good this kid was, how much hype was coming up behind him. And so I looked him up after the fight because I was impressed by him. I've been following this guy a lot, and mostly with UFC. I don't do it with many other sports like football. But if there's a UFC fighter that I really like, so like say Conor McGregor or John Jones or something like that, I like to look up their story. I don't know how it started, but I think it started with John Jones because that was the first fighter that I really like grew to love as a fighter and love to watch. I think I ended up looking him up, and then I like YouTube his interviews. Google things about him, like how he started, he was a big wrestler. I like looked up his old wrestling matches, things like that. So I've always been I enjoy things like this, the more in-depth thing, a little bit behind just what his career is and what his upcoming fights are like. So I got a little bit off track there, but this one is about Conor McGregor. He was born and raised in Dublin. If you watch him, he always has the Irish flag around his back. He has a very, very strong accent, so it's not hard to see where that is coming from. When you listen to him talk, he's a very, very confident person that's extremely good at speaking. So the way that he started fighting was actually kind of shocking to me. He actually started because he was a smaller guy. He's a featherweight fighter. But he started because he was getting bullied. So he wanted to be able to protect himself at all times. So it didn't start for sport. It started for self-defense. So because of this, he was taking boxing classes, but that was pretty much it, just for self-defense. Then he went to UFC 93, and when he went there, he saw like the environment and the crowd, how hype everybody was. And when he was there, he decided that he wanted to pursue a professional fighting career. Now, Conor's big thing is he is fascinated by human movement. So when you hear him talk, he says, "People don't move like I move or think like I think." So because of this, he trains in a lot of different things. He doesn't want to be one-dimensional. He wants to be good at absolutely everything. So his opponent has he doesn't have any clue what's going to happen. He can't train for him because there's going to be nobody like him. So he is trained in Taekwondo, Karate, Capoeira, which is something I've never heard of. I'm not sure what that is, and kickboxing, and then of course boxing, which he has started from when he was a child. Now, before Conor McGregor, there was no fight market in Ireland, even though they're fighting Irish and there's always things like that. There was no like good UFC fighters that were trying to come out of there. So Dana White said that the way that he found Conor was, of course, Conor was doing amazing in his amateur fights. So Dana was there to receive some type of award, and as he was there, he just kept hearing this name Conor McGregor over and over and over again. And so he went home, he Googled him, he figured out what he was all about, and a couple days later, he had the Fertitta brothers sign him. His first UFC fight was against Marcus Bribinge, and it's such a shocker. Conor TKO'd him in just under a minute. So because he did this, he got the knockout of the night, which was a $60,000 bonus. Now, just before he fought that fight, his last check was a welfare check that was just over $200. So you can see how much that impacted his life with that type of money. His second fight with Max Holloway was actually what he says is his worst fight. He went all 3 rounds with him and ended up winning by unanimous decision. But during the second round, he tore his ACL. So you can see he tore his ACL in the second round. That stops like football players from walking for a very long time. But he finishes the fight and unanimously beats a professional fighter that's pretty good. So he was off for 10 months because of that ACL injury. Then he was supposed to fight Cole Miller, but Miller ended up pulling out because he had some sort of thumb injury. So his next fight ended up being against Diego Brandao, who, if you know, he is a huge man. For the featherweight division, he is a ripped dude. he ended up TKOing him in the first round. And this was pretty significant because this is the first fight that they held in Dublin. It was a packed arena, sold out everywhere. So if you're a football fan, you know that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks are known for having the two loudest stadiums. They keep going back and forth with it. This fight in Dublin almost broke that sound record with about 9,000 people, which is absolutely insane because you compare 9,000 people to a professional football stadium. There's a pretty big difference in like the amount of people there. This fight also began a very long streak of performance of the nights, which I don't see ending anytime soon. So after that, just 3 months later, he fought Dustin Poirier, who is the number 5 ranked fighter in the world. So that's pretty good for like your third UFC fight. You're fighting the number 5 fighter. Conor and Dustin have a pretty big beef going on when they were going to fight. Dustin is a trading partner of Cole Miller, and Cole Miller is a guy that pulled out because of the thumb injury. So Conor kept saying that he knows that Dustin was scared to fight him because he's trading partners with Cole Miller. He should have known that Miller wasn't going to fight before anybody else did, so he should have stepped up and taken the fight instead of cowering down and just letting somebody else have it. And of course, on Poirier's side, you don't just want somebody to be walking around saying that you're a baby all the time. You're a professional fighter, so you got to have some hair in your chest and stand up for yourself. Now, when Conor fights, he doesn't just pick how he's going to win, like if he's going to win by knockout or submission, but he chooses which round he's going to win in. And so far, every fight except for the Dennis Siver fight and the Max Holloway fight, he has been 100% correct in it, and he was in this one too. He beat Dustin by TKO in the first round. And guess what? This is performance of the night number 2. So in his most recent fight, he fought Dennis Siver, which I think he's the number 10 ranked fighter. He's a short little German guy. Who's a pretty good dude. He's pretty strong, but I think his biggest downfall is he's kind of short and compact. So he didn't really have length, and that's what Conor specializes in because he's good with motion. So all of his strikes are pretty long. He's really good, like making his reach as long as possible and getting in and out really fast. So yeah, Dennis didn't really have a chance during this fight, which is exactly how Conor predicted it. So I said when Conor has a fight, he likes to pick the round that he's going to win in and by how. This is actually one that he was not right in. He said that he was going to win in the first round by TKO within under 2 minutes, which he ended up winning in the second round. So I don't know if you've seen Bully Beatdown. It was a show that Jason Mayhem Miller used to host on MTV2. They'd take a bully, somebody that bullied another person, and they'd put him in the cage against a professional fighter. Now, pretty much every time that they are in there, the bully just got destroyed and manhandled throughout the entire thing. This is basically what Conor did to Dennis Siver. Dennis was just kind of walking around like a human punching bag for the entire time. Conor ended up winning via TKO in the second round, so he wasn't right when he said that it was going to be in the first round under 2 minutes, but he was right on the TKO, and it was an extremely, really good victory. Like, he didn't even get touched. It didn't look like he was going to fight. He said afterwards that once he got in there, he realized that he really wanted to stay in and actually like feel out the fight. Because pretty much every other fight that he had been ended by a knockout in like the first round. He said he hasn't had much time actually in the octagon recently, so he was going to stay in there and feel it out. So after all these dominating victories, Dana White has given him a title shot against Jose Aldo, which should be an extremely good fight. Even though Jose Aldo has been such a dominant champion, I honestly think Conor's going to win the fight, which I'm sure not many people will actually agree with, but in my mind, I can see him taking it all. Finally, as for the gameplay in the background for the entire time, that was my FIFA 15 Ultimate Team, number 4 and 5. They were both pretty easy victories, so I didn't really feel like they needed much explaining. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you're going to like the series. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have a question, leave it down in the comment box, and have a great day, guys. Thanks.